Hey folks, Dr. Mike here for RP Strength. I'm here with my esteemed, highly esteemed, very esteemed, super esteemed colleague, Dr. Pack, who has his own YouTube channel, by the way, and I would highly encourage you to figure out. And unlike me, who now just essentially does social media and a lot of crying alone, Pack actually publishes literature constantly. I would say even too much. How many friends do you have?
Real ones or imaginary?
Both?
0.
Okay, no follow-up questions.
Thank you.
Wow. At least you're psychologically healthy enough not to have imaginary friends, which my imaginary friend Bill tells me is weird. He's here right now in the room with us.
I can see Bill, and he's definitely not imaginary and totally naked.
He's always naked.
What's up, Bill?
Hey, Bill's great. Powerbuilding
Powerbuilding.
is not a sport
It is not.
that people compete in,
Nope.
but it is dope as fuck, as the kids say. AF. What else you got? You're always good with the colloquialisms.
I'm not sure. I don't even have TikTok on my phone.
The Chinese government has no idea where you are.
Yes.
Bad news. So other than bussin', FR, people like to be jacked.
Mhm.
And they like to be strong. It's cool to be strong, but then people are like, do you like lift weights? And you're like, fuck. And you go watch this and you rip out the table at Chipotle and they're like, okay, fine, Jesus Christ. But then if you're jacked, but not super strong, people are like, oh, I bet my friend is stronger than you, even though you're big. And you're like, yeah, that's probably true. And then you're sad. So power building is an attempt to combine hypertrophy work with strength work. And you have seemed to stumbled on to some juicy information that you want to share with our, quite honestly, pathetic and disgusting audience. Audience, I love you. Unless you're pathetic and disgusting, and then I love you more. Tell us how to power build in a way that's sciencey and optimal and gets us harder and bigger and stronger.
For sure. So the first thing that I think a lot of people get wrong is that, look, bro, if you're getting stronger in the 6 to 10 rep range and you're doing quote unquote hypertrophy specific work, you're going to get pretty strong as well. However, when it comes to 1 repetition maximum strength, so getting your bench, your squat, your deadlift, 1 repetition maximum strength up, which is a bit of a skill, being good at grinding that 1 rep requires you to practice that sort of, rep style as well as handle heavier loads. And when it comes to that sort of strength, it is very easy to combine 1RM specific work with bodybuilding work without spending a ton of time on the former and focusing mostly on the latter. So a problem with many sort of power building programs and approaches is that people have this somewhat mistaken idea of what strength training is, where they go like, okay, I'm going to do 5x5 on the bench press or 4x5 or 3x3, and essentially they divide their strength and hypertrophy work maybe 50-50, maybe 40-60, but they spend a ton of time on the strength work and they potentially miss out on some extra hypertrophy work that they could do. Now, that's totally fine and you're still gonna get jacked, still gonna make gains. But if you're somebody who primarily wants to get jacked, but you also want to be able to put on those 3 plates and flex.
So this power building you're gonna tell us about primarily gets you jacked, but also gets you 1RM gas station ready.
Gas station ready.
Beautiful.
Spot on.
I love it.
So the way you could go about it is do some very specific 1RM training before your hypertrophy work in the form of a heavy single, to the point where you're leaving somewhere between 1 to 3 reps in reserve. Hit that, take a percentage of it, roughly 80 to 90%. Do a couple of triples after that. Do that 2 to 3 times for each lift per week. You could go as low as 1 to 3 times. And then do your hypertrophy work. And that's literally all you need to do to see meaningful 1 repetition maximum strength gains. And because you're obviously doing a bunch of lifting on the back of that in those hypertrophy rep ranges, you're still getting a ton of volume in, you're still getting bigger, and you're still getting stronger. That extra practice on top, especially if you've been gaining muscle for a while, just getting good at the skill, at handling heavier loads for that 1 rep, and then obviously 3 reps is still close enough to 1 rep to get that practice in. Those sets are not going to be super tiring because you're leaving a few reps in the reserve. It's just 1 rep and then a couple of triples. And you're gonna have plenty of energy to do your hypertrophy work, get enough practice in, and you'll be surprised with how it will translate to your 1RM strength.
I have 2 follow-up questions. You said meaningful strength gains. What if I want meaningless strength gains?
Then you could go as low as 1 single per week, and you'd still see some strength gains. But I would bet that given the fact that you're also doing your hypertrophy work, you could still be looking at meaningful gains with just 1 single.
Sure. You said also that you want to do your strength work first. Then after, you do your hypertrophy work. Now, since I went to sports science school like you did, I know some of these answers already. But these people don't. I mean our audience. I didn't mean to call you guys these people. You're all beautiful individuals to the last one of you. Snowflakes. What is it? My PhD advisor, Doc Stone, used to say, you're special, just like everyone else. Fuck. Other people who have come before this science bullshit, which I quite honestly don't like. Science is how you get punched in the face in middle school, as far as I'm concerned.
Facts.
Through literal personal experience. Would say, look, you want both hypertrophy and strength, I got you. You start out, warm up. Do a couple sets of 15. Put some weight on the bar, couple sets of 10. Put some weight on the bar, couple sets of 5. Put some weight on the bar, hit a triple or a single, maybe even a few of those, then leave. That's doing the strength work after the hypertrophy work. What's so wrong with that, Pac, as far as you can tell?
So when it comes to strength work, you want to be maximizing force production. And you want to be in a state where you're not very fatigued. And that's why when we look at the literature, the relationship between proximity to failure and strength is different to hypertrophy. So with hypertrophy, you want to be close to failure to be maximizing gains. With strength, you don't want to necessarily, although it will happen and it's good to grind out. Average. Yeah, you want to be a few reps away from failure. And especially if you're somebody who's trying to get jacked and you want the bonus points of, oh, I can, I'm also repping, I'm also hitting my 1RM on the bench or the deadlift. Doing your hypertrophy work and then the strength work, it doesn't really make sense.
Because you're tired.
You're tired.
For the very thing that requires the highest forces.
Exactly.
You're too tired to produce them.
Yes.
But if you do your high force work first, worst case scenario, you're a little weaker for hypertrophy work, but hypertrophy work is mostly a matter of putting the volume, so it doesn't matter.
No.
Best case scenario, you're actually potentiated by your strength work and you're stronger. Because a set of 10 on the high bar squat is actually a bit easier after you've done a couple triples, because the set of 10 was a such lighter weight, you're handling yourself differently. You're confident, your technique feels crisp, everything's about as warm as it's going to get. Because, first set of 10, if you just start with sets of 10 for hypertrophy, the knees, the hips, they're there, but they feel kind of All that shit wiggles out by the time you're on your last set of 3. So when you go to sets of 10, sets of 12, no big deal, because you're already really about as warmed up as it gets.
Exactly.
So there is an order of operations there, right? 100%. Strength work first, hypertrophy work after.
Keep it minimal, and you'll be in and out as far as the strength component goes in very little time. Plus, keep in mind that the single and triples setup is just a recommendation. You could do doubles or you could do a few singles.
Yes, but as everyone who's been involved in strength training knows, never do sets of 4.
Never.
Yes. The last thing I have to ask you, Pac, is we've talked a lot about the strength work, hypertrophy work. What about inner work? Inner work for the soul, Pac.
Yes, that comes after in
the locker room.
The locker room and other places which we cannot disclose here. Wink, wink.
The parking lot?
Yes, and others.
The guy who you met in the locker room, talked to in the parking lot, his house later that day?
Yes, who happens to also be your strength coach.
And he wears a trench coat all the time.
Yes.
To the gym.
To the gym. And you've never seen him lift. And you're like, I'm trusting this guy with everything I have.
He seems like a nice guy, Pac.
He has an accent.
And he has my best interests in mind.
100%.
Which he said to me.
Just take the pill.
It's a fun pill for happy times. Folks, when people offer you pills, take them. Don't ask questions. Just kidding. That's a joke. This is Dr. Pac. He has a YouTube. Give him a follow. Did we miss anything?
We did not.
Don't take any weird pills. See you guys next time.
Peace.